So planes, trains, and Erasmus information. This is my idea to set up a system on the SU website for students who have gone on Erasmus to be able to easily share their experiences, what was difficult for them, what was useful for them, and put that information in place where other students can access it and benefit from it. Because if you try to go on Erasmus right now, I never did it myself, but I have friends who did. And the way they described it was that once they had figured out, fantastic time for someone to run their engine, once they had figured out how to go on Erasmus to a particular host institution, that's where they had to go because they had no more time to go anywhere else, which is a really daft way the system being set up. And if you talk to the Erasmus office, their best advice is talk to someone who has gone there before. But of course, because of GDPR and just, generally being sound and not sharing private information without permission, they can't actually tell you who has gone on Erasmus before. And this hadn't really come up with a good way of solving that problem. But I think I have come up with a good way of solving that problem. So basically, if you look in my manifesto, so where you got this link, scroll down, you'll see a link to a Google form that I set up, and this is how I imagine it working. So you have what I call information giving students and information seeking students. The information giving students are the ones who've gone on Erasmus before, and they will come to our form and they will fill it out and say, I went to this place, I did these modules, I found this useful, I found this difficult. You can see the sort of information that I think might be gathered. And then after that gets processed by the SU in some way, so I can't imagine I would be doing this myself because that seems like an inefficient use of resources. Probably make use of the education committee. We have an Erasmus rep on the education committee. It seems like a good job for them to do. And then once it's processed and it seems like, yeah, this is legitimate, good faith submission, then we would assign a pseudonymous ID to it. So that would be just some sort of code, some number, and then it would be published on the website. It would be sortable by host institution and by leaving school. So you can find where you're going and people who left your school, what modules they did. So I think both of those different ways of searching will be useful. And then an information seeking student can read through that information, and if they want anything more, they can take that anonymous ID from the website, email erasmus@tcdsu.org, which doesn't exist yet, but I would set it up, email erasmus@tcdsu with the ID and be like, hey, I want to get in contact with this person, and then the SU would put them in contact, and then we don't have to publish any private information. The information giving student can respond if they want. They're under no obligation to. They'd also check a box when they're filling it out saying, do they want to or not? I've just run out of my 3 minutes, but I'll keep talking anyway. Sorry for this being over 3 minutes. But this is the stopgap. So this is why I think I can get set up in time for next year. Then, as a long-term solution, because this is, as a system, this is imperfect, it requires a lot of human input, I would set it up in such a way that there would be no human input after someone approves the submission. So after an information giving student sends their submission in with their information, and someone from the SU, probably the education committee, Erasmus rep, okays it, and it goes on the website, then we would set up some sort of submission form so that information seeking students can send an anonymous email to the information giving students, and the information giving students can reply anonymously, and then at no point does the information giving student and the information seeking student ever have to find out who the other person is. It'll be totally 100% anonymous. Only the SU would have that information and be kept very securely. So I think that'd be a great way for using this resource of the collective knowledge of people who've previously gone on Erasmus. That's just being wasted. I think that's a wasted resource. I think this is a good way for the SU to set up a system to capture it and to help students.